Let's go to the bad. Lauren, you need to lead us through this bad. This is very important.
Yes.
But we'll play it in a second. First, of course, we have our opening. And can we put this on speaker, I guess? Because they don't have their headphones on. So we'll just do speakers.
But it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good. No good, really bad for you. But it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
Really?
Believe me, not good. So you mentioned actually in the last segment some of your family background and how it reflected in your commitments in your politics. I want to just say, I absolutely think that a pre-decline Joe Biden would be a very formidable candidate. And I think it has been a major mistake of a lot of people on the left to project our disdain for him, which there's a million, credit card bill and Iraq. And the guy has just any number of bad politics, the drug war, all on and on and on and on. Honestly, it's like you hesitate to say anything almost because it's like, oh, well, you didn't mention the hundreds of other bad policies the guy was involved in. However, he's popular and he does have a brand that works for a fair amount of people. And I have I've always thought from the beginning, I thought this was a Sanders versus Biden race. And it does not surprise me that even though he's had some real problems, that he has not declined. Now, we'll see what happens. New Hampshire and Iowa look not so good for him, so we'll see. But this is a very formidable candidate and somebody who I think people are too quick to assume would run poorly in a primary or in a general election. Because I think some politics, obviously a lot of politics, just presentation. And this guy has built a bullshit brand as a middle-class populist, even though he has done as much as anybody to hollow out the American working and middle class through his support of every bad trade deal imaginable, all of which Bernie Sanders has opposed. Now, when he says stuff like this, though, this is the part of me that is like, does Joe Biden actually want to be president? And how can anybody with any type of serious analysis think that Donald Trump would not eat this like he, and I'm sorry for the image, eats fast food? Here is Joe Biden talking about coal miners and coding.
I come from a family where, in an area where it's coal mining in Scranton. Anybody who could go down 300 to 3,000 feet in the mine, sure and hell can learn how to program as well. But we don't think of it that way. Even my liberal friends don't think of it that way.
Well, and then our friend Sagar teed off on it, but Lauren. Right.
The correct response.
Yeah.
Right.
So as somebody who has had family members that have died and worked in coal mines, I find this to be extremely offensive. First of all, coal miners are too busy working a dangerous job, trying to put food on the table, to learn coding on the side. And second of all, Joe Biden should learn coding if he thinks it's that easy. Just give it a try.
I would start a GoFundMe to watch Joe Biden do coding lessons. And by the way, I say this as somebody who would be a disaster at coding too. So I am saying that as a fellow poor, almost sure to be poor performer. But
also, I'm horrible at coding.
TMBS listeners, go comment learn to code on Joe Biden's most recent.
Yes, exactly. That's your social media assignment. Tell Joe Biden to learn to code. And
it's just on a basic, like, there's a certain kind of like really annoying person who likes to like tell leftists to like learn some economics, right? That like, well, I took Econ 101 and I seem to remember the first chapter of that textbook was about supply and demand. And so if everybody learns to code,
what would happen
to the market value of that skill? Would it magically create new coding jobs? Or would it just mean that people who did learn to code were, could be paid minimum wage?
Yeah, right.
Well, it just highlights just how very out of touch he is with regular people in his country. And if you think that coding is the solution to every single thing and learning coding is what everyone should just be doing in their spare time, Have you ever talked with a coal miner? Have you talked with anyone in the Midwest or the coal and steel country? Have you talked to anyone recently? I don't get it.
I'm sure he's talked to them, David.
I mean, I would just add that, this whole, Joe Biden and also the whole mantra of like trying to encourage people to code. It's another great example of saying like, hey, we have economic problems in this country. Let's just shift things around and create another crisis in another industry, right? So if we just create a bunch of coders, then you have the same kind of problem that you have in the first place. And that's why, people like Joe Biden historically, and we're seeing it again as they start to pursue, the future, are going to do the exact same thing, mistake after mistake.
Absolutely. And I just want to be really clear here. I mean, the contempt that is expressed in this and the delusion that is expressed in this is the stuff of, it is just, oh, okay, there's my campaign ad. Like, I will bill out that ad. I can put some ominous music under it. I could put some clownish music under it. And I can say, Joe Biden thinks you're an idiot. And that's it.
What this does is it invites
complete
Trump
slam dunk
to be able to put out the same kind of ads that Obama was doing about Romney in 2012.
That's exactly right.
Where like you have interviews with laid off workers in the ad, that like this is what Bain Capital did to us. Like, well, the vice president thinks I should learn to code, I guess.
Show a guy with 3 missing fingers that he should learn to code.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
like it might be easier to learn if I still had my hands from work. And I think
not to mention that just on a really basic level, like, okay, let's say the laid off coal miner does go to like a coding class, like at the community college, right? So which graduate of that class is going to get the job first? Like the 19-year-old, right? Who does it really quickly, and the kids they learn really quickly, or like the 46-year-old laid off coal miner, right?
They start with an internship at Google and they work their way up.
And they did this.
And it's such an insult to everybody's intelligence to pretend to believe that this is a solution. And it really just shows you that centrists like literally don't have a solution. And so they either have to just shut up about this stuff or they have to pretend to think this is going to work.
Right.
Get your work straight, Jack.
They did the same thing, Obama and Biden. They did the same thing throughout like 2014 to 2016 in like coal country too, where they were pushing this jobs retraining program. And it had the exact same problem that you're talking about. People went to school for whatever, 6 months, got their certificate, and then nobody wanted to hire them because they were, 45, 50, and there was not as much industry in the area. I mean, there's like a myriad of problems that go into the economic issues in that community.
If there's not as much industry in the area, no problem. Just get in the car like a 21st century version of the family from Grapes of Wrath, and just go across the country from city to city, living in tents, looking for where the jobs are. I mean, that's a reasonable way to live. That's like what's wrong with that?
And
like,
I know that there's a lot of concern
the price of progress
that will concern people like, oh, so you oppose education? No, I mean, and honestly, like I don't even know how to respond to that. Look. In certain ultra limited circumstances, we know people with, before you're even in a position where you've had a blue collar job your whole life, people who have degrees, relatively speaking, perform better. It still is not determinative as an example, inheriting wealth. That says way more about where you'll be economically. And the broader philosophical point is we want education for education's sake, and nobody has to live like that because we have enough
abundance. Not for capitalist labor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but also it's like, your personal advice to your buddy that might be better for, that might work for them, possibly is not how you build a national policy.
No, it doesn't scale up.
Right.
That's, it's the composition fallacy. And frankly, yeah, of course, I'm very much in favor of education. I think that everybody should get to spend 4 years where they, get to take intro to philosophy from me and, all that stuff. But frankly, it's like even right now, the economic benefits are shaky, right? Real for some people.
Absolutely.
But
drowning
once,
in debt.
Once we get Lauren and a lot of people like Lauren in Congress, and we get President Sanders, and we get free college for all, then what I said about the coding is going to apply there too. The having a 4-year college degree is going to mean a lot less economically, and that's okay. I'm willing to make that trade for everybody getting to do it, but it's something they should do because it's a valuable human experience.
Right.
And making everybody equal, giving them equal opportunity. I just want to say I have anxiety in the thought of Joe Biden and Trump being the two people that debate each other. that just makes that makes my skin crawl. It's gonna be crazy.
There might actually be a push-up contest.
It will be kind of funny.
Yeah. It would be funny if you forget that it's a competition between like who's going to kill us all.
Well, you just ruined it for me. Well, that is a good way to end the bad. But no, I mean, I'm somebody who 2016 Bernie Sanders, I think, definitely would have beat Donald Trump. But I also think Joe Biden definitely would have beat Donald Trump. And some of these things are unfortunately not policy and they're presentational, but you can track. And I just think we have to be, I actually find it unpleasant to watch Joe Biden decline. Like I don't get like a joy out of watching, but I'm just saying like we need to start being real about this. And if you look at him in 2012 debating Paul Ryan purely on a performance level, it's a diminished figure. And it's shocking to me and grossly irresponsible that people would still think that we should, put him in a general election. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.